Hey there everyone, I'm Emily and today I'm bringing to you part 2 of my series on surviving uni or study with an invisible illness. So today I'm going to go into a bit more depth on time management, assignments and presentations. So when it comes to time management, I think the best thing that a lot of you are going to be able to relate to if you've had treatment here at Active Health Clinic is using your activity diaries. So it doesn't have to look exactly the same, but having that forward planning can be really, really great in terms of knowing when your assignments are due and planning your weeks so that you can have little study blocks in there and have those study blocks surrounded by some green time so that we're not going the whole time. So the biggest thing I wanted to say is, for goodness sake, get your assignments done early. When it comes to assignments, please don't leave them to the last minute. I know a lot of people think that they work better under pressure, but please just give it a go to have that assignment ready, and that's where that forward planning can help you to have that ready ahead of time. So break the assignment down into sections as well. You don't need to sit there and do the assignment all in one hit. I know for me that actually feels really awful because having POTS and fatigue, with the OI-POTS side of things, you're getting all that blood pooling in your legs, and sometimes I can end up feeling a lot more tired at the end of the day because one, I'm sitting still, and two, I'm spending all of this cognitive energy just chipping away at one thing without breaks. And we know that the more we can make our day look like a rainbow, in terms of that activity diaries that I was talking about, then the better we're going to feel at the end of the day and at the start of the next day. So I like to use in my forward planning the sort of a bit of a reward system. So if I know I have to write a paper, I can say, okay, I'm going to write the introduction of this paper, and that's my goal for today. So once I've written that introduction of the paper, and again, that introduction could be broken up into sections as well, not all just done in one sitting. So once I've done that introduction, I know that I can go and read a book or I can play video games. That's a big one for me. So knowing that I've got something to look forward to once I achieve that small goal. Now, assignments, I know, can't always be that easy because they give us this awful thing at uni called a group assignment where we have to go and interact with other people. I know, it's awful. We've all been there. So I can guarantee that not everyone is awful about you having a chronic illness or an invisible illness. So please have a chat to your peers about it ahead of time. I find that people are a lot more understanding if you have to reschedule or you can't make a catch-up that you had planned for that group assignment. If you just let them know that you are battling some health conditions and that you just need to structure things a little bit differently. So just giving them that heads up ahead of time. Extensions. So extensions for assignments. If you need an extension, then apply for the extension. And as I said in part 1 of this video series, these extensions will be covered by your disability plan if you've applied for one. So you don't need to go and get a medical certificate. You don't need to prove that you're unwell in any way, shape or form. You just have to get in touch and let the unit chair or supervisor, whoever it is, know that you need a extension. This can be something that comes up last minute and getting in touch with them, letting them know that. Or this can also be something that you can schedule ahead of time. So, for example, when I was in my undergrad, having lots of appointments for my health, I knew sometimes that I was back to back with cardiologists, sleep specialists, fatigue specialists, GPs, psychologists, my EP appointments here at Active Health. I would know that I was going to be back to back sometimes because that's how the appointments lined up. So I would schedule ahead of time and get in touch for that extension, knowing that I had a couple of extra weeks at that time. So it doesn't need to be done last minute. You can schedule those extensions ahead of time. So a little bit different from the assignments, but presentations. So let's chat about presentations. These are really daunting for anybody, but let's be honest, with our chronic conditions, invisible conditions that we've got going on, our body is doing some really weird things. So I know for me that I can get weak in the knees just thinking about public speaking. And I mean, I get this awesome fight or flight response that sends my heart rate through the roof. And I just feel like I'm going to faint sometimes when I get up there. And I'm just like, come on down, POTS symptoms. What else? What else do I need to make this even more fun? But even better than this is sometimes I do get up in front of that room of people and I can be midway through a presentation and completely forget what I was actually talking about. So what do we do? What can we put in place to help with these experiences? Because it's not just presentations, it's those darn practical exams that we get as well. And I can tell you I've been through a lot of those. So first, this is pretty general advice, but study the content and prepare for the topic that you're presenting on or you're being examined on. Because the more that you know that topic, the more confident you're going to be in presenting it or being examined. And the lesser of a fight and flight response you're going to have because you have that confidence. And as well, like the more you know it, not only are you going to have that confidence, it's going to have less of a fight-flight response, but you're also going to be more likely to remember what you were talking about. Or if you do get sidetracked or distracted, you'll just remember that that's what you're coming back to because you know the topic, you've practiced. It's all there in your brain. So that's very general. But secondly, if you have OI or POTS like myself, make sure you have plenty of fluid before getting up to speak or before the exam. And bring a drink bottle up with you. That's completely fine to do, and it can be a really good excuse if you've got your drink bottle up there and you just want to have a little bit of a break and just have a sip of water. It can really help to reset and recollect before you go on to the next part of your talk or exam. But my advice to you as well is have a drink bottle that has one of those pop-top lids, because I have been up speaking with one of these before and you don't want to know. It just spills water everywhere because you get the shakes with your POTS and your fatigue, and you end up looking great in front of everybody. So pop-top lid. And then as well, so POTS, OI, fatigue, counter maneuvers are fantastic. So these are your calf raises and tensing your leg muscles to help return the blood flow back up to your heart and your head. And also walking as you speak. So I personally love the walk and talk tactic. I find that not only is that great for my OI POTS because I'm moving, but it also really helps to keep the audience engaged because we know that movement will attract people's attention. And if the fight-flight response and those POTSy symptoms, heart rate, shaking, that's something that you really suffer from when public speaking or in exams, then consider mindfulness prior to going into that exam. I find even just a few minutes, if I'm sitting in the hallway before going into a practical exam, I'll just shut down and I'll do a bit of a check-in with my body, bit of a body scan. But yeah, there's lots of different mindfulness tactics that can work for you. And lastly, what I wanted to say as well is if you have OI, POTS or fatigue and you find that standing upright for long periods of time just isn't for you, then feel free to have a seat when you're presenting. This is something that I used to do quite a bit in my undergrad. So I would ahead of time arrange for a stool to be up the front where the presentations were being done, and I'd just present from the stool. So I found that was really helpful because I didn't have to hold myself up and I was a lot more relaxed throughout the presentation and could focus on what I was talking about. So don't be scared to have these discussions ahead of time with supervisors, unit chairs, those sorts of things, because they can have some recommendations for you. on how you might be able to better handle your symptoms. So I hope this summary has helped in terms of your time management, assignments, and presentations. Stay tuned for my next video for the third part of this series, and that video is going to be around tackling placements, because I've been on plenty of placements in my time at uni, which is like last 6 years or something, and there's definitely some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way that I really wish I'd known back at the start when I started doing all these placements. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you then.